All right. I would like to call the business meeting of the Portland Board of Public Education to order. It is Tuesday, January 21st, 2025. We are meeting in a hybrid format with some of us here at Casco Bay High School and some online. Online tonight, we have Vice Chair Bondo. We also have Student Representative Kintiba. And I think that is it for tonight. Everybody else is here in person. So with that, Dr. Warren, will you please call the roll?
Member Ali. Member Yusra Ali.
Present.
Vice Chair Bondo.
Sorry, present.
Member Bryden.
Here.
Member Lena.
Present.
Member Noor.
Here.
Member Opperman.
Here.
Student Representative Fitzgerald.
Here.
Student Representative Kintiba.
Here.
Student Representative Lee.
Said he would be 10 minutes late.
Okay. Student Representative O'Brien.
Here. Here.
Student Representative Ziegler.
Here.
Chair Lentz.
Present. Student Representative O'Brien, you want to test that out? Okay, perfect. I think maybe you're just a little far away. Thank you, Dr. Warren. And now the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic, stands,
Nation,
God,
indivisible, Portland Public Schools recognizes the original inhabitants of the land on which our city and schools stand. The Wolastoqiyik or Maliseet, Micmac, Penobscot, and Passamaquoddy tribes known collectively as the Wabanaki Confederacy or people of the Dawnland. We are honored to have Wabanaki children among our students today, and as a district, we are committed to making the past, present, and future of Wabanaki peoples visible in our schools and classrooms. And now, Student Representative Fitzgerald is going to read our mission and our definition of equity.
Okay, so our mission, the Portland Public Schools is responsible for ensuring a challenging, relevant, and joyful education that empowers every learner to make a difference in the world. We build relationships among families, educators, and the community to promote the healthy development and academic achievement of every learner. And our definition of equity is all people being held to high expectations and having access to opportunities that are reflective of their individual needs, identities, and experiences. Equity is achieved in Portland Public Schools when there are no identifiable differences in outcomes and experiences for any population subgroup.
Thank you very much, Student Representative Fitzgerald. And I'm actually going to do my remarks tonight before public comment, and then we'll move into public comment. I just want to acknowledge that the last time we were in this room, the energy was very different. It was pretty challenging. And I think for everyone in the PPS community, this last week has been tough for a number of reasons. And so I just wanted to make a few comments on that experience. So many of you know that I am not from Maine. I grew up in rural Indiana, and I grew up with lesbian moms and gay dads. My family didn't fit in. I had no representation in my classrooms, in books, in curriculum, or in educators. I was often ostracized and was bullied for years by my peers because of my family. To this day, I still remember when adults joined in, their words and actions seared into my mind. It was painful, but it also gave me incredible motivation to help create safe and inclusive environments for young people so they would not have to experience the same things I did growing up. When I came to Maine for the first time in 2002 to work at a summer camp full of teenagers, it was the first place I felt like I truly belonged. I appreciated Portland specifically for its strong sense of community, acceptance of all kinds of diversity, and for being a place where it seemed like everyone could thrive. I could strike up a conversation in the grocery line, run into neighbors at the farmer's market, and keep up with all that Portland had to offer. When I ran for school board, I fell even more in love with this city. I got to meet teachers and educators who were showing up every day to make schools places that our students wanted to be. They were building strong relationships across differences, and they championed our students' futures. I got to meet parents and guardians who supported our district so deeply, seeing our potential and doing whatever it took to help us get there. And other community members who recognized our district's importance in creating a vibrant, healthy Portland. In my time on the board, we've seen and navigated huge challenges and celebrated many successes. However, in the last week, something happened that I've never experienced in all my time in Maine. I am used to being calling names personally in my position as chair of the board and having anger and hate directed at me and other members of the board and district, but this felt different. I heard words used for our students that were harmful at best and certainly hateful. Multiple people referring to our students in the collective as punks, hoodlums, thugs, mobs, terrorists, and even inmates. Since the first days on the board, I know that student behaviors have been increasing and escalating just as they are in so many places around the country. I've heard in so many instances of educators feeling unsafe, unsure of how to respond, or desperate to support students more so the behaviors would diminish. I've heard many express confusion about how traditional discipline practices and restorative justice and other techniques coexist. It is clear to me that while we have started to roll out trainings and support around this, we have not yet delivered enough. While I do believe that there are several initiatives within the strategic plan to target these problems specifically, I'm asking the board and the superintendent to see where extra investments can be made in this coming year and beyond. However, if our collective mindset as a community is that our students are the words I mentioned previously, there is no training or support in this world that will do what we are asking. We must continue to see the potential and greatness in every single one of our students. We must root out our biases and understand how they impact our mindsets and our interactions with others. We must acknowledge that, like our staff, our students are human and learning every day from our great educators in this district, and we must never, ever give up on them. Our students deserve that, their families deserve it, and Portland deserves it. And it will take all of us. We all have to be in it together. And with that, I know that there were a couple of other board members who wanted to share some thoughts. So I would open the floor at this point to anyone that would like to share remarks. Board Member Bryden, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. When I decided to run, so I'm going back, but not quite as far as you did. When I decided to run for the seat in 2022, I got some advice from people who've been on school boards before. Two things in particular feel important right now. First, in really complicated situations, you probably won't have all the information that matters. If something is really confusing or isn't adding up, or it only makes sense if you have to think of somebody as a bad person, then you almost certainly don't have all the information. So be curious about what else might be going on, what other explanations there might be. Because the second thing is that people are fundamentally good. Nobody's perfect. We make mistakes and we have successes and we hurt each other and we help each other over and over every day. Nobody is infallible and every person has value. This community has shown its ability to see a person with that type of nuance and compassion, to say a person is more than their worst moment. They have good qualities, so there must be an explanation for their actions. I feel a deep, deep sadness that for many, this does not seem to extend to students. If the community was having a conversation that framed me as a bad person, assumed that my actions were based on ill intent, and didn't make any space for the possibility of information and factors that might offer a different explanation, that would be a really difficult experience, and that's with my fully formed adult brain. I can't imagine how children of 11, 12, 13 would experience the shame of that type of narrative about them. We have so much work to do. Every learner deserves a challenging, relevant, and joyful education. To be clear, we will only achieve that when teachers feel safe and supported and have the tools they need to be effective. I look forward to investing in teacher support, training, and safety in the next parts of the strategic plan. But I feel so strongly that it's not one or the other. Teacher safety or seeing every student as a nuanced human being with redeeming qualities. It has to be both. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Board Member Bryden. Board Member Yusora Ali.
Sorry, I'm like developing a cold. So last week I witnessed an unsettling side of our community. We quickly forgot that we were discussing children and not adults. Further comments went on to describe the students with horrible words that are not suitable for anyone, let alone children. Now, I want to ask everyone who sent emails to put themselves in the shoes of these students, their siblings, their peers, and their parents. No parent raises their children to have disruptive behavior. This could have been any one of you. And had you found yourself in the shoes of those parents, I would hope that your children found support and not called all kinds of names.
Thank you, Board Member. Are you done or you just need a minute?
And I just need a minute. And I would hope that your children, had you found yourself in the shoes of these parents, I would hope that your children found support and not called all kinds of names. I would hope that your children were given grace and the space to learn from their mistakes, and that others would speak up for your children, give their side of the event, and testify for their characters. Our teachers, our students are precious, and our educators invaluable. That is why, moving forward, I hope that we mend the broken trust and continue to support our students and teachers alike. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move us on to public comment now. So if there is anyone else that would like to give public comment. Oh, yes, Vice Chair Bondo, I'm sorry, I missed your hand. Go ahead.
Thank you. Mine is really short. I just need to add something. Okay. I have decided a couple of years ago to run for school board as a matter of a student of color, because I knew that my kids have faced a lot of discrimination and a lot of bias during their school years. And I just see about the system, the way to have opportunities for students to different space, and also to have a support for the teachers. Because when I've been visiting classes or schools, a couple of years ago, the room of the teachers in the classroom, we didn't have any diversity of students. So teachers definitely, they need support to different aspects. So the system that I saw happening last week has to call myself to ask myself the role as a leader and also as a school board member, what I have done. We have done a lot of investment, but I see the failure of the system, of the training, professional development, restorative justice for students. Then I see then we didn't hold ourselves accountable for what we have invested. So I think the result that I saw last week is exactly what I was thinking about a couple of years ago. Who are we holding accountable? What's those outcomes and impact on any trainings on restorative justice or de-escalations? We have a lot of to do as leaders. We cannot just sitting and deciding without be on the ground and making sure that what we're bringing as an investment really have impact in our students to becoming the next citizen of the community and building the best future for their life, and also supporting our teachers. I know exactly what I have to do for more years to come to make sure that the student voice is being raised, and also the support of our teachers to make sure that we're building a clear and a good pathway for a better success for our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Bondo. Board Member Opperman.
Thank you, Chair. As a teacher, a parent, a board member, and at one point a student who had words spoken to her that were not kind, and an adult said, "Sticks and stones will break your bones, but names will never hurt you." I remember going home and saying that to my mom, and my mom said, "Oh no, Julie, that isn't it at all. Words can hurt more deeply than any fist."
Thank you. Okay. And now I'm going to move. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, just really quick. I do agree with Board Member Ali on behalf of this because I was a youth that was troubled, as they say. Now I've been working around juvenile justice and pretty much hundreds of thousands of kids going through our systems and making sure that they have different avenues and options, because going down that path is obviously going to end them up in adult jails or mental health facilities and things like that. So I do second that, and I think that both sides was a necessary component to think about, because on one side there is an individual that was trying to prove his innocence based on the situation, and on the other side it's a bunch of youth that were acting, it was wrong, but they make mistakes. So I think on both ends it's agreeable and understandable that we just need to improve, and we can't demonize on each side. So thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Okay. And I think we're ready to move to public comment now. So if anyone online would like to give public comment, you can raise your hand, or if you are here in the room to give public comment, come up to the podium. I'm not going to read the guidelines if we don't have people that are here for public comment. Okay. So with that, just some guidelines about public comment. You may speak on any subject directly related to operations of the schools, except for personnel matters or complaints, which shall be addressed through established processes and procedures. Comments are limited to 3 minutes or 6 minutes for an individual using an interpreter. You may not relinquish a portion of your allotted time to another speaker. The board may not respond to comments, and please refrain from responding in the audience. Speakers must refrain from engaging in disruptive conduct, including but not limited to using vulgar and/or obscene language, threatening others using words or by actions, using pejorative or discriminatory language with reference to a person or a group on the basis of their religion, ethnicity, nationality, race, color, descent, gender, or other identity factor, making defamatory comments, exceeding the allotted time limits, talking over or interrupting others, offering repetitive comments, and offering comment on matters unrelated to the school district's programs, policies, or operations. I'll stop any public comment that is contrary to these rules. To give public comment, please come forward to the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Begin by introducing yourself with your name and address. I'll keep the time and raise a yellow folder indicating you have 30 seconds remaining, and a red folder signifying the end of your time. If you get to the end of your time and you would like to request more time, you may do so. Okay, go ahead.
I'm Annie Antonakis, 243 State Street, Portland, 04101. I have 2/3 of my comments are my own, and they take 3 minutes, and then I have about 1.5 minutes from a recently retired teacher. So I'll ask for more time if we get there.
Thank you.
I'm a Portland High parent and a professional musician and educator. And I'd like to thank you for including one badly needed music position in the upcoming budget, and we need more. We've lost a number of music positions over the past 2 decades, which has impacted all our programming. The strings program had 3 teachers 20 years ago, and today we have just 1 over all 15 schools. After 100 years of an orchestra program, Maine's biggest city and cultural center has only 22 students left in our high school orchestra across all 3 high schools. No marching band after Deering's was shut down in 2001, and none of our music teachers have been evaluated in 22 years. If we had unlimited resources, we could recreate 4 or more music positions district-wide. Since we don't, I'd like to start by asking that in addition to the new position being a strings position, that we bring back the crucial addition of a music supervisor, which could be half-time. This should be someone who will guide the department on articulating and carrying out a mission statement, evaluating staff, overseeing hiring, and coordinating with you all on the budget to carry out the mission and state-mandated educational priorities. Bringing back this position would create transparency about the music budget and would go a long way towards creating equity in the performing arts across all schools, which we are currently lacking. My belief that we drastically need this position was reinforced after hearing what recently retired music educator Allison Chomsky had to say, which I'll share if we have time. And I quote, "In the past, in addition to the music coordinator, we had supervisors who were not the music teachers themselves. When I started teaching in Portland Public Schools, the district had a $90,000 music budget, and we were supervised by a central office curriculum director of elementary and secondary education. There were regular meetings with the whole staff and the administrator. We were also evaluated by a non-music administrator. For district music teachers, this was a time of accountability, high expectations, advocacy, and support. We worked on aligning our curricula K through 12 and also aligning our work to meet state and national music education standards. The supervisor administrator did not know specific music education concepts, but they had leadership skills to guide us in curriculum design and educational frameworks for student success. We also took a close look at each school, their budget, their teaching supplies, their schedule, their instrument inventory, the music teacher's schedule, the curriculum at each school, in order to make music education equitable across schools in the district. Here we are today with little to no accountability for most music teachers. There needs to be leadership that looks at programming in each school to make sure all students have the same opportunities. We now have individual school budgets for music equipment and supplies that vary from school to school, which creates inequity. For example, some schools are not providing band or strings because the staff couldn't find a time to schedule it. Another example, all schools used to have their own concerts a few times a year, but now concerts are held at only a few schools and families have to get themselves to that school to participate in that concert. And finally, access to instruments is not even-handed across the district." So that's the end of her comments. I would close by just highlighting a few benefits of music study. I have a feeling you all appreciate most of them, but really quickly. 1, music improves literacy. 2, the part of the brain that improves communication, that in charge of communication between the left and the right sides, is shown to be significantly larger in trained musicians. 3, there's a strong link between studying classical music and excelling in college. 4, there's also a strong link between music and memory, so that serves you into retirement age and beyond. 5, classical music demands a level of discipline and technique that can serve music students through any other style they're interested in. If you can play Mozart symphonies, for example, then you have some of the basics to play rock, pop, and jazz, like some of these people who started as classical musicians: Bjork, Lady Gaga, Katy Perry, Keith Jarrett, etc. And last, but I think the biggest reason that could stand on its own is the National Institute of Health cites music study as an effective intervention against anxiety and other mental health issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to give public comment, either here in this space or online? Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and close public comment. Up next, we have the report of the student. Tonight, we have Student Representative Rosie Ziegler from Casco Bay High School.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to everyone who is here participating or watching. Before I share the recent happenings at Casco Bay High School, I would like to formally introduce myself. I am Rosie Ziegler, a sophomore here at Casco Bay, and I am thrilled to have the opportunity to represent all the voices of my fellow students. I am greatly looking forward to learning more about our schools and gaining knowledge from my fellow board members. This Friday marks the conclusion of the second quarter, indicating that several projects are finalizing. This year, Casco adopted a new policy stating that on the last day of the quarter, we will have a half-day schedule, and any students requiring additional support and work time are encouraged to remain. This is incredibly beneficial for students who need assistance and gratifying for those who have finished all of their assignments. This week holds significance for sophomores. Since November, we have been engaged in our Beyond Borders expedition. To initiate this project, each student selected a country from a list of 15. Afterwards, students conducted thorough independent research on their chosen country. We then compiled all the information we gathered onto a poster and created a narrative along with a script. The culmination of this work will take place tomorrow and Thursday evening, when we will be presenting to families, friends, faculty, and experts. I'm personally looking forward to my presentation about Yemen tomorrow evening. Senior expeditions have recently begun, with each student selecting a topic that holds significance for them and starting their research. The projects will culminate in February, when they will present their topics in various classes throughout the school. The juniors are about to start their public policy unit, in which each student must choose a subject related to climate change or social change and conduct comprehensive research for a paper. They will present their findings to an audience in February. Last week, staff member Michael Hale delivered a presentation at the National EL Conference. Additionally, senior Joe Ellis serves on the National EL Student Council and was one of the 2 student MCs at this event. Recently, students participated in their initial round of intensives. Intensives occurred the week following winter break and the week after April break, providing an opportunity for students at Casco to earn elective credits. This session of intensives included options like squash, human anatomy, winter activities, overnight snowshoeing, Shark Tank, statistics of board games, mapping, fiber arts, and more. One of the aspects I appreciate most about Casco is the intensives. Having an entire week dedicated to exploring a topic I'm passionate about is incredibly valuable, and I always come away with new knowledge. While Casco doesn't have its own sports programs, we do provide an impressive range of extracurricular activities. Approximately 40 students are involved in this year's winter musical, the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. The premiere is scheduled for February 7th with 2 additional performances the following day. This year, the mock trial team consisted of 37 students, and they advanced to the state championship, where several participants were recognized for their thoughts. 10 of our students engaged in Portland Community Squash, and around 45 take part in sports at Deering and Portland High School. And the ski club is set to begin next Wednesday. Casco appreciates its collaboration with PATHS, so sophomores received a presentation last week regarding the opportunities available through PATHS as a sign-up period for 10th graders approaches. Next week, Counselor Bill Smith will visit to assist seniors in comprehending their financial aid packages and explaining their significance. The Maine Celtics will be visiting on the 31st to discuss women's empowerment in sports. In conclusion, Casco Bay has and is working hard to give an enriched learning experience to its students while providing support. This shows up in our education and in our interactions with each other. I'm looking forward to working with my fellow board members more so I can further uplift the voices of my peers. Thank you for your time. Do you have any questions?
Does anybody have any questions for Student Representative Ziegler? I am curious. The Shark Tank intensive?
Yes.
Is that about swimming with the sharks or like the show?
It's like the show where, So I didn't participate in the Shark Tank intensive. I was in fiber arts. But I think students were they basically kind of learned what it was like to pitch a topic and do all of the research about it. And then they all individually or with a small group, picked something they were interested in pitching and then learned how to do it, made it, and then went, I don't know exactly where they went, but they went somewhere and pitched it to experts in the field.
Oh, cool. Thank you for that additional information. Anybody else have questions? Really appreciate that set of remarks. You all are doing a wonderful job with this. Thank you. And now we're going to move on to the superintendent remarks and secondary schools update. I'm not sure if they're one and the same tonight.
Good evening, everybody. The update tonight is going to be short. I just want to provide a quick update as we are in the final stages of our high school selection. In fact, high school preference forms are due this Friday. And so wanted to share with everybody, well, they are due this Friday. There are still a couple of opportunities on which to get information. So as you can see here, we've had 3 open houses at our high schools, and preference forms were sent automatically to all Portland Public School 8th graders on January 10th. And so if families are looking for it, they should check their email. You can also find a preference form online as well. The forms are due January 24th, and a letter informing of your child's high school assignment will be sent no later than Monday, February 28th. Tomorrow night, Wednesday, January 22nd at King, and I can check and get you the exact time here. So I'm just looking over to Dr. Ahmed and to Dr. Valenzuela to see if we can get the exact time on this. Tomorrow night at King is the final information night. And that night is, we'll have extensive support, particularly for our multilingual speakers, but it is open to everybody. And so that night will include all of our interpreters and family community specialists, including support on the last minute to do forms. And so we're encouraging everybody who has an 8th grade child who is still making a decision about which high school they want to select first, second, and third in their preference forms to join us tomorrow night. And that time is at 6 p.m. at King Middle School. And so they have that. And then just a reminder, forms are due by Friday. And then you will find out in February. I do also want to thank, this is a process that's continued to evolve over the last 2 years. So at one point there was talk about open houses and how we handle competition with our schools. And so we opened back up the idea of having these visits and these informational sessions at the schools, and we did that this year. And next year we're continuing to evolve and look forward to figuring out how we can host students even during the day, as that's been a topic of conversation. So we're continuing to think about how we can do that. There's logistical challenges, as you can imagine. Each of our middle schools has around 150 8th graders. And so you can just imagine trying to create an authentic experience and have them experience all 3. But that's something that's worth us figuring out. And so we will continue to evolve in this. But did just want to share that information.
Thank you, Superintendent. And now we have the Foundation for Portland Public Schools quarterly report.
Chair, I have a quick question for the
I apologize.
if you don't mind.
Go ahead, Vice Chair.
Oh, yeah, that's quick. I just wonder for the multilingual families, because I have a lot of families, they just been asking me those questions because some of them, they moved or they have changed some phone number. So I just wonder if we are capable of reaching all the families of the 8th graders, or do we have some other, maybe not now, maybe later on. I would like to see how many we were capable of reaching out, and how can we do better to try to update some of those phone numbers so we can access more family than before.
So the information sent through Reach My Teach, and so it's sent through text message, email as well. The other piece, and I'll just have to confirm this, that it's set this way, but the way it happened last year is that there were regular follow-ups. And so if a family didn't submit their form right away, they would receive follow-ups.
Okay.
And so we'll confirm that that is set. That is set. I just got confirmation of that. That's real-time feedback for you there, Vice Chair Bondo. But yes, we do work to make sure that 100% of families are able to submit, and that there is follow-up on it.
Okay, great. Thank you, Superintendent. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, perfect. And now the foundation.
Thank you. Superintendent Scallon, does it make sense for me to become a presenter and share my screen, or would you like to share the slides? How should we?
Up to you. Are you on the web? Are you on?
I'm on, but I'm not on as a panelist
Oh, okay.
for some reason.
Accept that.
Fabulous. Great. Wonderful. Well, thank you all. I'm Andy Wiseman-Summers. I'm the Executive Director of the Foundation for Portland Public Schools. And as I think most of you know, I give a report 4 times a year to the school board. Tonight, I have a fairly brief update as well. We'll talk a little bit about our healthcare access campaign, our distinguished alumni awards, welcoming new staff, and then, as we always do, an update on this quarterly set of donations. So I believe I spoke to you last time I was here about our healthcare access campaign. And I want to start by giving a huge shout out to Tina Veyu, who is the district school nurse coordinator, who both identified these needs and brought them to us at the foundation, and then coordinated the logistics of helping to make this happen in schools. So the 2 needs that she identified that we've been able to address are providing vision care for students and menstrual supplies to students. The big news is that just a couple of weeks ago, a nonprofit organization based out of Boston called 2020 Onsite came to Portland for 3 days to the Portland Public Schools. We got a lot of press, so my guess is that some of you may have heard about it, but it was pretty amazing. They were at Portland Adult Ed, Talbot Community School, and Reiki, although they also served some students who were bused over from other schools. And they were able to provide vision screenings, eye exams, and then prescription glasses, which are due to arrive any day now, to those students at no cost. And it was really exciting. So that's actually a 5th grader from Talbot trying on sample glasses. And what was very cool was that the students were pre-screened, so all but 2 of the students actually needed a prescription for glasses or were flagged as having a more serious medical need and needing to go to an ophthalmologist and have more in-depth care than the mobile doctor clinic could provide. So these were real needs met for many dozen students in the Portland schools, which is pretty awesome. And we couldn't see everyone who needed to be seen, but we are continuing to work on how to meet that need in partnership with Greater Portland Health. And then we've also purchased menstrual pad dispensers for Deering High, for this building, and for Lincoln Middle School thus far. And so those have free pads in them for students as they need them. Historically, in those schools and in other schools, students would have to go to a school nurse and ask for menstrual supplies. And that was a big barrier for a lot of students who were either embarrassed to ask or didn't go to school at all, or missing school because they didn't have the supplies they needed. So we have fundraised and provided the dispensers, which don't take any money, and the pads for those schools. And we have plans to do them in all of the other secondary schools, and then speak with the elementary school nurses to see what makes the most sense, because we do know that the issue affects older students at the elementary schools. So that's been exciting. That need was identified and we've been able to meet it. And then I want to share who helped us meet that need financially, which is the Sadie and Harry Davis Foundation, which is part of the Klingenstein Philanthropies, the Simmons Foundation, Kennebec Savings Bank Foundation through their Catalyst Grant Program, Eyes on Rosemont, and several individual donors. So that's healthcare access. The next piece is that we have made nomination forms available for our 2nd annual Distinguished Alumni Awards. And this year we will right a wrong from last year, which is include graduates of Portland Adult Ed receiving a Distinguished Alumni Award. So please spread the word and nominate folks yourselves. Nominations need to be submitted by February 28th. Anyone who graduated from one of those schools is eligible, and it's someone who's made a difference to their community, and it can be in a major way or in a tiny way in their community. We're looking for folks who have distinguished themselves in any way, and those awards will be presented at Spring for Teachers, our annual community building event on May 14th. So please also consider this a save the date, May 14th. We'd love for you to be there. Then finally, I want to share that we have a new staff member at the foundation, and I'm hoping that you'll all meet him at some point. Michael Langenmeyer is the Development and Alumni Coordinator, so he will be taking over that Distinguished Alumni process and doing a range of other things for the foundation. He's only been with us for 1 week, but seems amazing so far. And most recently, he worked in development for an online independent news outlet called the Daily Coast, and raised several $1 million for them, and he created their fundraising programming. So then finally, I'll jump over before questions to our fall fundraising. So I've listed all of the businesses and nonprofits that have donated to the foundation since my last quarterly report. So that's 3 pages. I'm not going to read them all, but they're here and available to you. So this is our list and where their funds went to. So that's a total of $90,832 from businesses and foundations since I had the date on a different slide, something like September 25th, since I last did an update. And in that same time, we did what we call our annual appeal, where we asked all of the families in the district and other local donors and a few not so local donors to give to the foundation. And so we received 275 unique individual donations in the last 3 months, which is certainly our biggest quarter of the year because of that annual appeal. So it includes donations to that, but also donations to our Addressing the Opportunity Gap or equity work, the Ed Feeney Athletics Fund, Families in Crisis, Maine Community Swimming, which is a project that we fiscally sponsor, the healthcare access I talked about, and to scholarships. And that totaled $272,675 in the last quarter. And that is it for my presentation, but I'm open to questions. Yes.
What questions do board members and student representatives have? Oh, thank you. Board Member Alina.
I was just wondering about the Distinguished Alumni Award. How else are you getting the word out to get nominations?
Good question. We emailed it out about 10 days ago to our alumni list that we have, which is about 18 or 19,000 alums. We also, it's in the staff bulletin that went out today. I put it in the Friday footnote, which is an administrator's weekly bulletin with an ask, please spread the word at your staff meetings or in your buildings. It's on our social media and our website. And and it was in our newsletter, the foundation's newsletter. So we're trying to spread the word in those ways. I posted it as well in a couple of social media groups that I'm aware of. Like there's one that's called I Attended Portland High School. And but if any of you know of other groups like that, please spread the word because we don't know everything that's out there. And we will do one more email.
Other questions? I was wondering if you could, in just a couple of sentences, describe the relationship between the foundation and the district, since we have so many new folks right now.
Sure. Yeah, it's an unusual relationship. The foundation is a nonprofit organization, a 501c3. So we have our own board of directors, but our bylaws state that we have 3 ex officio members of our board, which means kind of required by the rules. And one of them is whoever is the superintendent, so Superintendent Scallon right now, someone who represents the PAA or the Administrators Bargaining Unit. And this year that's Kevin Stilfen from PATHS, and someone who represents the PAA or the Educators Union, and that is Carol Hager at Portland Adult Ed. And then we have a range of parents and other community members. So we're a nonprofit that is separate from the district, but not entirely. So our offices are in central office, and we are all technically staff members of the district. My salary is paid for by the schools. Our other staff are entirely fundraised by us, and none of their salary or benefits comes from the district funding. But what makes us most aligned is that our beneficiaries are only students, families, or staff of the Portland Public Schools. So everything we do is to serve students and their families potentially, usually not, but sometimes, or to serve staff.
Thank you. Those were great sentences. And I just wanted to add, I sit on the development committee for the foundation, and it's one of my favorite roles in the community. And part of that is because in the philanthropic landscape in this country and in Maine, philanthropic dollars have been going away. And so the fact that Andy is able to really listen to the needs of the community, amplify them, and get them funded in the ways that we are, it's really, really remarkable. And I just think is such a, is making a really big impact that we can measure in our community. So I'm really grateful for all the work that you do. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you, Chair.
Any other questions? Yeah. Yes, go ahead.
Hi, could you go back to the slide with the menstrual product information? Like what schools got
Absolutely.
that?
Yep. Sorry, I
Because I was
ended the share prematurely. But I can tell you, as I'm looking for that slide. Okay, there we are. That it is at Deering High School. And then this building, we worked with Nurse Raymond, is I believe the nurse here. Is that right? Casco. Okay, perfect. Like doubting myself. And in Lincoln, and mostly because those are the 3 school nurses that asked and said, we're ready to do this.
I see.
So we are going to follow up with Portland High and in the other middle schools. Now that we initially raised enough money just for a pilot at Deering, and then we exceeded our goal. And so I reached out to all of the district administrators and said, we have enough money to do this in another couple schools. And it was Casco Bay Paths in Lincoln that responded and said, we're ready.
Okay, so I understand. Thank you.
Yep.
Beautiful. Awesome.
Great. Well, thank you.
Chair, I have a question. I'm sorry. You didn't see my hand.
I swear you didn't have your hand up. I swear I checked. Vice Chair Bondo, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Andy, and thank you so much for what the foundation is doing. I come back again for the addressing the opportunity gap, and I know that this year with the new administration is a lot of going to happen for families, and I just wonder if the foundation is aware about what's going to happen, and if we feel like if we start working on some of different strategies how to help those families, because there's going to be a lot of issues with some of those opportunities or housing and some other opportunities on the DHHS. And I know it may come back to the school, the community to try to help out.
Yeah, I mean, what I can say to that is we choose our funding priorities and, what we focus our effort on based on feedback from all of you. So from the school board, from district leaders, from teachers, from students, from our board, from parents, as we get those ideas, our board of directors, which I said includes Superintendent Scallon and others, takes in those ideas, discusses them, and thinks about what's feasible for us to fundraise for. Housing is a tough one because it's so big and there's so many people working on it that we may not be able to make much of a difference. So what's feasible, and then what kind of makes sense and fits with our mission. So one of the things we straddle is we want to support the schools, we want to address unmet needs, we want to provide things that are extra, that enhance the experience, either increase engagement or increase rigor for students or make staff feel more connected. But not things that we feel like really are a responsibility to be included in the school district budget. So if we had a request to pay for textbooks that are required for all middle school students, we would probably say no to that because that really feels like that is just squarely belongs in what the school district should pay for. So those are the things we consider. But as you have ideas, please reach out to me or someone else on our staff or on our board, because that's how we get to what our focus areas are.
Great, thank you. Yep. Thank you, Chair.
Yep.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Okay. Yes, go ahead, Student Representative O'Brien.
How could one of us reach out to you with a need that we would want to?
Yeah, you can email me or call me, and I have a Portland Schools email address. So, I'm just using that formula, Andrea Summers, and certainly Chair Lentz or Superintendent Scallon or, Sarah Warren all have my contact info, and I would welcome the opportunity. We also, I see that you're at Paths, and so Kevin Stilfen is on our board, so he would be a liaison. We have student board representatives from Casco Bay, and that's Jaden Montero Rosado this year, and from Deering, that's Zara Almatwari. We had a Portland representative, but she had to drop off for a variety of reasons, and we were not able to replace her this year. But so you could also go to them.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Andy.
Thanks.
And then up next, we have some minutes. We have some reports of the secretary. So we have up first the consideration and action to approve the meeting minutes of January 7th, 2025. Are there any corrections to those meeting minutes from January 7th, 2025? Okay, so I'm hearing no corrections, so the minutes are approved as distributed. And then we have the consideration and action to approve the meeting minutes of January 14th, 2025. Are there any corrections to those meeting minutes from January 14th, 2025? Okay, seeing none, then those minutes are approved as distributed as well. And just a quick note, we did have a focus on education at one point on the schedule tonight, and that has just been moved back. So I anticipate that coming back, and we'll dive more. It's initiative 1.1, I believe in the next meeting or so. We'll hear the full update on that. And then we have personnel.
Thank you very much. Just two quick items today. The first, I know you usually announce it, sorry, or Carolyn.
No, you're all right. Yes, you're fine. Why don't you just talk?
Okay, so the first is one new probationary teacher, special education teacher at Moore.
Beautiful. So do I have a motion for the consideration and action to approve the personnel items listed, election of teacher candidates probationary? Thank you, Board Member Bryden. Is there a second? Oh, Board Member Ali. Great, thank you. Any questions from the board on this motion? There's no public comment on personnel issues. Any general discussion from the board? Okay, then by roll call vote, please indicate whether you are in favor of the consideration and action to approve the personnel items listed, election of teacher candidates probationary.
Member Ali?
Yes.
Member Yusra Ali?
Yes.
Vice Chair Bondo?
Yes.
Member Bryden?
Yes.
Member Lena?
Yes.
Member Noor?
Yes.
Member Opperman?
Yes.
Student Representative Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Student Representative Kantiba?
Yes.
Student Representative Lee?
Yes.
Student Representative O'Brien?
Yes.
Student Representative Ziegler?
Yes.
Chair Lentz?
Yes, so the vote is unanimous with students voting with the majority. Up next, I'll do this one and then hand it to you. We have the consideration and action to approve the personnel items listed, election of teacher candidates, 1 year only.
Thank you. And again, just one candidate, social worker for Deering High School.
Thank you. So is there a motion for this consideration and action to approve the personnel items listed, election of teacher candidates, 1 year only? I like this aggressiveness over here. This is good. Board Member Ali, second. Board Member Opperman. Any questions from the board? Okay, no public comment on personnel issues. Any general discussion from the board? Okay, then by roll call vote, please indicate whether you are in favor of the consideration and action to approve the personnel items listed, election of teacher candidates, 1 year only.
Member Ali?
Yes.
Member Yusra Ali?
Yes.
Vice Chair Bondo?
Yes.
Member Bryden?
Yes.
Member Lena?
Yes.
Member Noor?
Yes.
Member Opperman?
Yes.
Student Representative Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Student Representative Kantiba?
Yes.
Student Representative Lee?
Yes.
Student Representative O'Brien? Student Representative Ziegler,
Yes.
Chair Lentz.
Yes, so that is unanimous with the students voting with the majority. And finally, tonight we have an executive session. So I would like to make a motion for the consideration and action to enter into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA 405-6D to discuss the Portland adult education negotiations. Is there a second? Thank you. All in favor? Okay, so we're going to move into executive session. Student representatives, you can feel free to leave at this point. When we come back from executive session, we'll just be adjourning. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Right here.
Thank you, Board Member Ali. All those in favor of adjournment? It is unanimous. We are adjourned at 7:49 p.m. Thank you very much.
Thank you.